He dumped me because I was broke, so I became a millionaire and hired his mom as my maid. When he left me, I didn't even have enough money for the bus ride home. I sat on the curb outside his apartment, my tote bag beside me, stuffed with the few things I'd kept there. A charger, a toothbrush, my journal. My phone was at 12%. My bank account had $3.47. And he didn't even look back. "You're sweet, Liv," he'd said, with that fake, sincere voice he used when he wanted to feel like a good person. But I can't build a future with someone who's always struggling. I need a partner, not a project. That one sentence shattered every illusion I had. We'd been together for 2 years. I met James when I was working the front desk at a gym, and he was a client with a killer smile and smooth lines. He said he loved how real I was, how I didn't care about money, how I wasn't like the girls he usually dated. Yeah, that aged well. At first, things were great. We laughed a lot, ate ramen together on the floor of his studio apartment, dreamed about the future. But when I lost my second job, things changed. I went from quirky to exhausting, from independent to clingy. When I asked for help with rent, he gave me a long speech about standards. When I cried after a rejected job application, he suggested I try being more positive. When I started selling sketches online, he called it a hobby, not a hustle. And then one day, boom, he sat me down on his velvet couch, offered me a glass of water like I was a guest, and said he couldn't do this anymore. No cheating, no scandal, just pure, cold rejection. "You'll figure it out," he said, patting my knee like a dog. "You're a survivor." And just like that, I was alone. For 2 weeks, I crashed on my friend's couch, ate instant noodles, cried into a hoodie that still smelled like him. But grief fades fast when you're hungry. I started freelancing hard. Art commissions, digital branding, social media packages. I spent 16 hours a day at my friend's kitchen table, designing logos, editing reels, sketching like my life depended on it, because it did. I posted everything online, every project, every win, every story behind it. Slowly, people started sharing my work. A YouTuber hired me for a full rebrand, then a fashion startup, then a VC-backed health app. One client turned into 5. 5 turned into 50. Within a year, I had my own agency. Within 2, I had 6 employees. At 27, I became a millionaire. Not by winning the lottery, not by marrying rich, by working every single day like I had something to prove, because I did. And the moment I bought my penthouse in Westwood, I cried, not because of the view, but because I remembered sleeping on that couch with nothing but my broken heart and my broken pride. I promised myself I'd never beg anyone to love me again. It had been almost 4 years since James dumped me. I hadn't thought about him in months, until one morning, during a staff meeting, my new housekeeper applicant arrived. "Her name's Diane," my assistant whispered. "She's early, super polite, former hotel experience." I nodded, still half listening, until I glanced at the application. Diane Carter, 54, recently widowed, looking for part-time housekeeping work. Carter, my heart skipped. She walked in wearing a neatly pressed blouse and a tired smile. Her hair was grayer than I remembered, but her eyes were the same. "Hi," she said. "You must be Olivia. Thank you for seeing me." I swallowed hard. It was James's mom, the same woman who once called me ambitious but kind of unstable, who used to joke that love doesn't pay the bills, sweetie. Now, she was standing in my foyer, looking for work. And I smiled, because life was finally giving me the mic. I hired her, not immediately out of spite, or at least that's what I told myself. I told myself Diane Carter was qualified, polite, quiet. She had hotel housekeeping experience, and my apartment had grown into a jungle of Amazon boxes, garment bags, and untouched juicers. But let's be honest. I hired her because I wanted her to see. To walk across marble floors in a building that needed a security code just to enter the elevator. To fluff throw pillows that cost more than her son's rent. To see my face on the cover of a magazine in the hallway. She arrived every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. sharp, wore the same clean white sneakers and a light blue zip-up. Her silver hair was always tied neatly. She worked with military precision, folding towels, wiping baseboards, organizing drawers I hadn't touched in months. She addressed me as Miss Olivia, even after I asked her to stop. And not once did she mention James. Not when she dusted the glass coffee table he once told me looked tacky. Not when she carefully arranged the throw I had designed for a luxury brand campaign. The same one James once told me no one would ever buy. But I saw the shift in her eyes that first week when she spotted the framed Forbes article in the hallway. The girl who branded herself into a millionaire. A full-page photo of me in a power suit, sitting cross-legged in this very apartment. She froze, blinked, said nothing. For weeks, we kept up the performance. She cleaned, I paid. We never spoke of the past, until one Wednesday, I came home early from a lunch meeting. I walked into the kitchen and stopped. She was standing at the counter with her phone pressed to her ear, her back to me. I don't know how she did it, she whispered. But it's her, the same girl. She owns all this. A pause. No, James, I didn't say anything. What could I say? It's her name on the mailbox. Her face in the news. She's different. Another pause. I think she hired me on purpose. That's when I cleared my throat. She jumped and spun around, her eyes wide, the color draining from her face. I'm so sorry, she said quickly. I didn't know you were home. It's okay, I said calmly, placing my purse on the counter. You can talk to your son. Her lips parted, but no words came. I walked over, poured myself a glass of water. My hand was steady, my heart calm, for once. I had nothing to prove. The game was already won. In fact, I said, turning to her, you should invite him over. Her brows lifted. Excuse me. Friday night, I said. Dinner. I'll cook. She blinked. You want James to come here? I insist. Diane hesitated, as if searching my face for sarcasm. But all she found was a smile. Tight-lipped, sharp, practiced. I don't know if he'll agree, she said carefully. Oh, he will, I said. If you ask him. And he did. Friday arrived, and with it, a thunderstorm. Poetic, really. I made dinner from scratch. Braised short ribs, roasted carrots, wild rice. I set the table with gold-rimmed plates and heavy silverware, lit tall white candles, played jazz softly in the background. Diane arrived first, nervously smoothing her blouse. I offered her a glass of wine. She declined. At exactly 7:12 p.m., the elevator dinged. I opened the door, and there he was. James. He looked older. His beard was unkempt. His suit didn't quite fit, and his eyes widened the second he stepped inside. This is yours? He asked. I nodded. Welcome, James. He stepped in slowly, like the air was heavier here. Wow, he said. I didn't expect this. You didn't expect a lot of things from me, I replied, gesturing toward the table. Shall we? He sat across from me, Diane beside him. She looked like she wanted to crawl into the floor. Dinner was polite, painfully so. James complimented the wine. I thanked him. Diane avoided eye contact until he finally asked it. So, how did you do it? I sipped my drink. Work. Every day. While you were busy breaking up with me to chase someone richer, I was building something. He flinched. I didn't mean to hurt you, he mumbled. You did it anyway. Silence. And then I looked at Diane. She's been wonderful, by the way, I said. Organized, punctual, efficient. He stared at me, confused. You mean? Yes, I said. Your mother works for me. He went pale, and I smiled. Dinner was over, but I was just getting started. James didn't say much after that dinner. He stood awkwardly in the entryway afterward, thanked me for the meal, and left before dessert. No hug, no apology, no fight. Just a tight-licked goodbye and the echo of shoes on polished floors. Diane stayed behind, clearly rattled. I'm sorry, she said softly. I didn't know what you were planning. You didn't need to, I replied. She offered to help with dishes. I told her to take the weekend off. That night, I sat by the floor-to-ceiling windows in my living room. The rain was still falling, soft and rhythmic, blurring the lights of the city below. I thought I'd feel triumphant. I imagined it for years, the confrontation, the stunned silence, the look on his face when he realized what he'd thrown away. But it wasn't triumph I felt. It was closure. On Monday morning, Diane arrived at exactly 9 a.m. She moved through the apartment in silence, cleaned the kitchen, dusted the bookshelves, checked the pantry. When she reached the kitchen island, she paused. He didn't sleep, she said finally. James, after dinner, he just sat in the dark. I said nothing. I wasn't fair to you, she added after a moment. Back then, I saw you as temporary, a distraction. I didn't think you had what it takes. I turned and met her eyes. She didn't flinch. I was wrong, she said. You're strong. You built this. And whether you hired me out of pride or not, I'm proud of you, truly. I didn't expect the way that landed. It wasn't groveling. It wasn't for show. It was human. I gave her a small nod. Thank you, I said. You can go early today. She smiled, almost shyly, and left with quiet dignity. And for the first time in years, I felt something like peace. Later that week, James called. I stared at the screen for a long time. I could have ignored it, could have blocked the number. But curiosity is a powerful thing. Hey, he said, can we meet just for a few minutes? I agreed. We met at a rooftop cafe near my office. One of those quiet places with string lights and wooden tables and a view of the skyline that felt almost too perfect. It was the same cafe where years ago we once shared a plate of fries and talked about dreams. Back then, mine sounded too big for someone like me, and he smiled like he loved that about me. Now he just looked tired. I keep thinking about that night, he said, and about you, about how wrong I was. I didn't say anything. I left you because I thought your struggle made me weak. But the truth is, I was scared of how strong you were. I knew you'd outgrow me. I just didn't want to wait around to watch it happen. He paused. His hands were trembling slightly. I never imagined you'd become this, but I should have. Still, I stayed silent. I'm not asking for another chance, he added quickly. I just needed to say it, to tell you I'm sorry for everything. I looked at him, not the version I loved, not the man who laughed with me in the kitchen or kissed me in the rain. James was smaller, not physically, but in presence, in weight. He felt like a character from an old chapter, blurry around the edges. And I realized I didn't need revenge. I didn't need him to cry or beg or regret. I'd already won, not because I hurt him, but because I healed. I stood up and adjusted my coat. Thank you for saying it, I said. I hope you figure your life out." He opened his mouth, maybe to ask something, maybe just to stall. But I didn't wait. I turned and walked away, not to make a point, not to be dramatic, but because I was done. No looking back, no secret satisfaction, just freedom. Because sometimes real revenge isn't loud, it's silent, it's soft, it's walking away, whole, successful, and unbothered, and never answering the door again.